Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Well, first of all, I want to say Merry Christmas to you guys, and I'm going to start off with kind of a little brutal history of my life, and then I'm going to talk about some discounts, and then I'm going to talk about what the video is about, why emotional intelligence is so important to women, and what is emotional intelligence. And the music's going to go down in about 15-20 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to start it off on kind of a tough note. The reason why I'm doing it because it is Christmas, it's winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and I think this is a time, especially now it's December 15th, so we're deep into December. It's pretty much cold on most of these states in Canada and Europe and stuff like that. It's also a time of year where people start to get depressed and sad, especially those of you who you live alone, you're not with your family, or maybe you are in a relationship that's not working well. And I have a gut feeling some of you on this channel are actually empaths or heart-based people, fairly emotionally open and sensitive, and you probably had a really hard life and you didn't quite understand what was going on. Alright, let me start out with what happened in my childhood, just to kind of give you an example. And how I turned it around. So a lot of people when they meet me, especially my clients, they just assume, oh, you were just born confident, Mike, you don't understand, you don't know what it's like to live a hard life. And when people hear 5% of my life, they're like, holy shit. Most people don't understand how I survived what I went through, let alone why are you so happy? This doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I was ran over by a car about 16 years ago, or just over 16 years ago, and I had my older brother was like my favorite brother. I always looked up to him, and I see it now. I didn't see it back then, but he treated me like shit on a regular basis. So I hadn't heard from him in probably 10, 12, plus 15 years. And he called me up Christmas Eve. This was about 5 weeks, not quite, 4.5 weeks after I got ran over by a car. Broken bones, spine, neck, tore my brain in 3 places. And apparently my mom had called everyone and bragged and laughed about, oh, Michael got ran over by a car. It was good news for the family. They celebrated it. Now you think I'm joking. I am not joking. It's very possible they're the ones who paid the person to do it. So this is my typical experience with my family and the way I grew up. He called me up on Christmas Eve, and I thought, oh man, my favorite brother, my oldest brother, he's calling me to wish me Merry Christmas and see how I'm doing. And no, he didn't. He just ripped into me, and he had said, did you ever figure out why mom started beating you with a leather belt when you're 8 months old in your sleep? Now mind you, I was quiet. I was in my sleep. She would come in between midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and she would jerk me out of bed and start wailing on me. Ever since I was a little infant. And this went on for over 10 years. Now when my mother beat you, you would bleed for 2 days minimum, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. When I was 6 years old, I was quietly eating breakfast on my own. We lived in a big Victorian house, by the way. How she heard me is beyond me. I was just eating some cereal. She came downstairs, turned on the stove, talked to me for a while, waited for it to warm up, and she burned my hand happily on the stove. Years and years later, when I was about 20 years old, she convinced me to move out of my dad's house because I didn't know my dad because she divorced my dad when I was about 3.5, 4 years old. So I found him, lived with him for 1 year. She convinced me to move back in with her, and I got appendicitis, and I was in the hospital, and they overdosed me on morphine. It's a brand new bag, and 3 people, her, my sisters, and a family boyfriend of my mom's, and then a neighbor had watched while my sister dumped the entire bag into me. And then they turned around and told everyone that I tried to kill myself. Now, if you know anything about morphine, if you've even had 1 single shot, you know it would be impossible to do 30 plus shots into your system because that stuff puts you out cold with 2, maybe 3 shots, depending on how big of a man you are. And the other thing is, like, so you're told the police and the hospital staff that you sat there eating your popcorn and drank your Coca-Colas watching me do this. You just sat there. And the nurse's station, by the way, was 4 feet from the frickin' door. And you guys thought it was movie time? So that's kind of giving an example of what I went through. Years later, I found out. Maybe I'll make some videos about this later on if you want to hear them. But years later, I had found out from a girl I was dating that my mother was talking shit about me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Now, this was probably in my mid-20s or so. And I had later found out that she had turned my high school girlfriend against me. No one told me this. My high school girlfriend, all of a sudden, one day after meeting my mom, she just became the biggest B word in the world. And I was like, what's going on? What are you mad about? What happened? I don't understand. I even asked her, I remember saying, like, did my mom say something to you? Like, what? Like, the thing is, like, your girlfriends should tell you if someone talks shit behind your back. If they don't, you shouldn't be with them, even if it's just their immaturity. So years and years later, about 31 years old, I had found out my mother had turned everyone in town against me, saying these horrendous lies. One of the lies, I think I found out when I was 25. So my mother convinced me to move back in when I was 19, or maybe I was 20. She convinced everyone in the neighborhood that I had just gotten out of prison for my second term of murder, meaning the first time I was probably like 3 years old and got out when I was 12 or 13, then got thrown back in for another murder, which is an impossibility mathematically. Now, when I found out about all of this, I moved away, but not too far, about an hour and 15-minute drive away, thinking I was safe, only to find out years later she had gotten people in my area to come after me again. Thus, someone ran me over with a car. There's a whole lot more than what I just shared with you. That is like literally 1/100th of what I've been through, 1/100th of a thousandth of what I've been through, you get what I'm saying, but it's just very tiny. So I did not grow up with self-esteem. I did not grow up with confidence. I did not grow up with a good family or any support at all. They did not want to see me succeed. In fact, when I turned 20 years old, I asked my mother, I invited her over, like, why did you beat me when I was such a little kid? Like, I don't understand. That didn't make any sense. And was I a bad kid? Did I do something wrong? Why'd you burn my hand on the stove? And you know what she said? She said, we all knew by the time you were 8 months old, you were going to be talented like your dad and smart like your dad. And she said, the reason I burned your hand on the stove is I wanted to make sure you never, ever succeeded in sports. Now I'm crying and bawling and thinking, like, what did I do? I don't understand. And I was just bawling. And she literally said, you didn't do anything. I'm like, what do you mean? I go, was I a bad kid? She goes, no. She goes, that's the worst part. You were a good kid. I hated it. She literally said what pissed her off was I got good grades, I stayed out of trouble, I didn't do drugs, I didn't get in trouble with the police, I never got suspended, and I excelled at sports. She said I couldn't stand it. And then she said, your brothers and sisters hated you because of this. And I was like, is that why they were so mean? She's like, yeah. And we talked to my sister the next day because I thought, I must have misunderstood my mother because mothers love their children. Sometimes they don't. So my sister laughed at me and I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. She goes, no, Mom came right on over and we had a good laugh about it. We talked for hours over lunch. And I said, but I was always there for you. I always helped you. I mean, I don't understand. I always protected you when Joey was beating you and other people, et cetera, my older brother Gary. And so she goes, yeah, so, and I go, I don't understand. Like, Amber, I've always helped you whenever you needed help. She goes, yeah, that's just it. You don't get it. You're a slave in this lifetime. I was like, what? She goes, when we need you, we'll call you. You don't call us. You help us. We don't help you. She goes, the sooner you realize that, the sooner you accept this, the better you'll get along in life. And I was at 31 years of age. My entire life, I did everything in my power to get my family to love me. They just wouldn't love me. So a lot of men in the world, a chunk of them, there's a lot of hurt going on. Some of you went through what I went through. It's called narcissist abuse. If you have not learned it, so if you are listening to my story going, wow, this is kind of similar to what I've been through. My family treated me like shit too. My girlfriend treated me like shit. This person treated me like shit. You may have been a victim of narcissist abuse. You need to learn about it. Here's why. There are good people and then there are fucked up people. These people are called narcissists, okay? The problem is, if you are an empath or a heart-based person who attracts narcissists, every woman that you'll ever have dated in your life will have been a narcissist, okay? So because every woman you've dealt with, experienced, dated, been in a relationship with, your mother, your sisters, etc. are narcissists, you just assume, well, this is just the way women are fucked. I come to bring good news. Not all women are narcissists. These are demonic people, literally. If you have not studied on YouTube and listened to at least 100 videos to learn the red flags, the sign, the cycle, there's an actual step-by-step cycle that every narcissist will take you through, and then they repeat it. Love bombing phase, the devaluing phase, the abandonment phase, or the there's another word for it. But basically, they throw you away phase. I forget the official word for it. And then there's the hoovering, where they bring you back in 6 months to a year or even longer. They suck you back in with the love bombing. So they repeat the cycle and the steps in each cycle. When you learn to see the steps, when you see each piece of the cycle, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm dealing with a narcissist. Exit stage left. The sooner you do that, the better off you're going to be. And then you're going to start meeting people that are not narcissists. And then you're going to go, wow, you are totally different from any woman I've ever dated in my life. You're actually a good person. And that's when your brain goes, wait a minute. I think I've been dealing with some really effed up people on one side of the fence. I've never even looked on the other side of the fence to see if there are good people, because I just assumed, well, this is the way people are. No, it's just the people that you've been interacting with, because narcissists are highly attracted to people like you, and they will push away the good people. Now, how did I overcome this? Well, everything I'm trained in. I'm an NLP trainer, neuro-linguistic programming. It's a newer, more advanced form of psychology. I'm also a master Ericksonian hypnotherapist, the most powerful form of therapeutic hypnosis. It is focused on therapy. I don't do stage hypnosis, so don't worry about me making you go into a trance. It's all about healing work. I've also spent a lot of time with Buddhist monks doing energy healing work, etc. I've also gone to energy healers for decades, okay? Here's the deal. I'm a certified in Reiki, Huna, Pranic healing, okay? I'm certified in timeline therapy. I'm a master practitioner of timeline therapy. So my point being is, all the tools that I learned, that I got trained and certified in, guess what? I do them with all of my clients. I've been doing this for 30 years. Now, I'm going to say a phrase or two here. It may not quite make sense now, but when you take my course, Cracked Female Code, all of a sudden you'll realize exactly what I've been saying all along, that women have been saying. And it's the only way I can really say it. Here's what they did to you. They took your confidence or power out of you. What I do, the techniques I'm taught are internal techniques. I'm literally going to shift your power back into you, shift your confidence back into your body, so you become and feel confident and comfortable. I've worked with men that are worth $300 million. I worked with another man that was worth just over $100 million. I've worked with CEOs of multi-billion dollar corporations. Money will never make you truly feel confident inside. It makes you feel like, well, I have to have this car, or this diamond ring, or this gold watch, or I've got to have this $5 million home, or I've got to have this thing over here. And without that, suddenly you're lost. But when you truly get your confidence inside you, you're going to be the most comfortable man in the room. And that's what women are attracted to. Men are born being external. Society beats it into you to be even more external. Why? Because the left brain processes information through rules, structure, and organization, meaning it's external, meaning you're looking outside of yourself for the rules. What am I supposed to do? What's right and what's wrong? This is how society controls you. And a woman can see this in you in a heartbeat. She can see it in your eyes, your body language, and your tone of voice. And guess what? When you take my course, Crack the Female Code, you'll be able to see it in other men as well. Now, let's talk about emotional power. Or, as I say, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, once you learn how to do it, it gives you back your power. So what is emotional intelligence? Okay, the video I made just before this, it goes very much in depth, especially at the very end of it. If you watch the last 5 minutes of that video, you really got it. You got the message. So emotional intelligence, see, the problem is using the word intelligence already, it sends you in the wrong direction, because it's not about logical intelligence. It's about emotional. See, a lot of men go, it's about thinking. No, it's not. It's about shutting off the thinking and opening up to your five senses so you can sense your environment around you. This is a higher level of intelligence. There's a series of techniques that I call internal awareness techniques that ground you emotionally. So now you're emotionally grounded, okay? You're connected to yourself inside. If you are not connected to you, you have no power. And that's the logical left brain. That's the external brain. You could be the smartest logical guy in the room and you won't get ahead in life. And holy shit, does it turn women off. So emotional intelligence is when you learn these internal awareness techniques, when you drop down back, it's like your awareness drops back down inside. It's like reconnecting to your body. It's the same way a submarine has a sonar system, a radar system, if you will, and it makes a ping, goes pong, and it senses everything that's all the way around it, all the way above it, and all the way beneath it. It's like a ball pongs outwards, a ball of energy from the submarine, and it senses the environment. So what is emotional intelligence? What are women talking about if it's not thinking, if it's actually not logical intelligence? It's feeling your environment or sensing your environment. That's intelligence. Now, a lot of times women will say, oh my God, why don't you think before you speak? She doesn't actually mean think. She means feel. It's the same thing when Bruce Lee was training that kid, and Bruce Lee says, so how did you feel? Because he had to try to teach him this kick. He goes, no, don't think. He goes, do it with emotion. What I say, emotion. Bruce Lee goes, emotion. So he goes to kick again. He goes, no, give me emotion. And finally, the kid goes, and he just really kicked it, a really good kick, real power. And Bruce Lee goes, how did that feel? And the kid goes, And you could see him put his finger to his mouth and his forehead scrunched down like he was thinking. He just disconnected from his emotions. So he goes, so the kid goes, let me think. And Bruce Lee cracks him upside the head. Literally, he goes, no, don't think. Feel. Your power when it comes to life, business, sports, and dating and relationships comes from your emotions, from sensing the vibe, from feeling what's going on. I'm going to give you a real life example. So I was at my friend's party. We were in the kitchen. Well, not all of us. Some of the people were in the living room and dining area, but then there was about probably 15 of us, a group in the kitchen, right? And we're kind of in a circle. There's some guys and men and women. We're all in our mid-20s, maybe early 30s. And there's a guy next to me, and I can't remember his name. I've told this story a million times. I'm going to give you the shortened version. And he's with his girlfriend, okay? And then right across is his girlfriend's best friend. We'll call her Patty. So another guy walks in and joins the group, and Patty really likes this guy. And everyone can feel it, as Bruce Lee would say. We could feel it. You could sense it just by her looks, her emotions, everything. She liked this guy. Well, this guy was oblivious to it, and the guy next to me, the girl's husband, he was oblivious to it too. He was kind of a dumbass. Which is the point. That is right there. That's the point. If you are not sensing things, women consider you to be a dumbass. And you come from your ego and you don't even know you're doing it. And this is why men are like, why are women so mean? It's because you're going, yeah, hey, how's it going, baby? Everything you do is from ego. And it's such a yucky, irritating energy. When I take you out of that in the course, I promise you, when you get around another guy that's egotistical, you're going to be like, dude, what the fuck? You're going to hate it. So what happens is after a while, so Patty, by the way, was overweight. And the guy next to me, we'll call him Tommy. So Tommy is with his wife. And for some reason, out of the blue, he goes, Patty, you should lose some weight so you can get a boyfriend. You should join the gym and exercise and watch what you eat and stop eating candy and junk food so you can get in shape so you can get a boyfriend. Now his wife goes, why did she? And what happened was Patty got embarrassed, and Patty goes, oh, you fucking asshole, fuck you. And then she goes storming out into the living room, right? And then everyone looks at him like, dude, like, what the fuck, man? He goes, what? He goes, I was just trying to be helpful. Now here's the thing, he actually was. But he did it in the external direct way. And his wife yells at him, why do you always do this? Why don't you think before you talk? And he goes, I did think. I was thinking about what I should say. And now here's the thing. She didn't mean think. She meant feel what you were going to say. So in other words, if somebody were to say that to you in front of someone that you liked, how do you think that would make you feel? That would humiliate the fuck out of you. So the group essentially broke up, and she's like, why would you do that to Patty? You know, she liked that guy. And he goes, how was I supposed to know that? See, because the direct brain says, well, she never told me that. No one directly told me that. See, that's the logical male brain. It's the direct brain. Well, if you don't tell me directly, how am I supposed to know? Well, Mr. Dumbass, maybe you could notice. But the problem is, if you're logical male, you're like, notice what? So you can't sense, i.e. notice anything if you're in your left brain. That's a right brain function. And for the life of them, women cannot understand how men can be so damn obtuse. Now that client of mine that was worth $300 million, he had 3 successful corporations. This guy was very successful, like insanely successful. Here's the thing. He had zero freaking awareness when it came to emotional intelligence. He was just rules, structure, organization. If you break the rules, you get fired. That, you know, if you don't do this, then you don't get a raise. You don't get moved up in position. I mean, everything was rules to him. He had zero awareness of people's body language, of people's like noticing, like if he was at a business party or a social party or a birthday party or even a Christmas party with family and friends. The guy was the most obtuse guy. Now, here's the deal. I know because I went out to dinner in his city with him and his business associate and with some other people. I'm like, man, this guy, everyone just conforms because the guy has so much fucking financial power. And the guy was 6'2.5". He was a fairly tall dude, fairly big dude, athletic guy. And yet he just went through his 3rd divorce. And for the life of him, he couldn't figure out. He goes, I don't understand. I just bought her a brand new Porsche. A month later, she's asking for a divorce. He goes, I went to the Tony Robbins seminars. We went to the relationship seminar. We went to his follow-up seminar, the expensive one where he only allows 40 couples in Fiji. He goes, Michael, that was like $25,000 for each of us. He goes, and then I went to Dr. John Gray's seminars. And I bought his home books and blah, blah, blah. He goes, I still ended up in my 3rd divorce. He goes, my second wife, we went to these seminars. He goes, I thought I understood. Once he took my course, you know what he said to me? He said, you're the best. He goes, you're the best in the world. He goes, you know what? I literally didn't understand that I wasn't understanding what they were saying. I was hearing everything through my left brain when everything they were saying was right brain. I had another guy had 2 doctorate degrees, a successful, thriving physical therapy practice. He was about 30, I think he was 41 and I was 36. And the first thing he said, he came in, he was cocky and arrogant, egotistical. He goes, honestly, buddy, he goes, I don't know what you can teach me that I don't already know. And I just said, oh God, here we go again. So I made him a guarantee. I said, I tell you what, if I don't blow your mind, and I mean blow your fucking mind out of the fucking water to where you're just going, holy shit, I didn't know anything before I walked in that door. If I don't blow your mind and literally flip everything upside down, I won't let you pay me. I won't accept a dime. In fact, I don't want you to pay me until your mind has been completely, thoroughly fucking fried. He goes, okay, deal. The 4th day that he came in, right when he walked in the door, he had a stack of autographed signed books from Tony Robbins, Dr. John Gray, and he went to Dr. Barbara D'Angelo's course. He brought a stack of home study courses, audio, etc. Slams them on my hardwooden table. I'm like, whoa, I told you don't have to pay me a dime, dude. He goes, no. He goes, you know what? I thought I understood what they were saying. He goes, you're right. I was listening through my left brain when what they were saying was right brain stuff. I was hearing B when they were saying A. That is obliviousness. Not knowing that you don't know that you don't know that you literally don't know. And then believing that you think you know. If you think you know, you don't know. So in the course, I'm going to teach you a series of techniques to drop down inside. When I say series, I'm talking about a dozen or more techniques that I learned from Buddhist monks, from Huna, and from some other techniques. I'm going to teach you how to reconnect with your internal awareness, which is your power. Here's the thing. It's what you've been searching for your entire life. It's that you look at other men going, I don't understand. Like, what am I missing? You're missing yourself. You've been looking for this your entire life, but we were looking in the wrong direction. You were looking and going in the wrong way. You were going out, external, when you needed to go inside. I literally am the master of emotional intelligence. I teach men how to reconnect with their internal awareness. That is what women mean when they say emotional intelligence. Without this, you are literally dead in the water. She will divorce you eventually. See, women marry men hoping, well, he'll get it. And they tell the girlfriends, I know because I've talked to a lot of women, like, oh, no, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. I was at a big business fair here in San Rafael, Marin County, right next to the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco. Huge business fair. There's like 250 tables and everyone trying to sell their business and handing out business cards. And because I was part of the Chamber of Commerce, I was invited, so I went along. And I went by this one table, and these ladies were like, well, what do you do? So I gave them my business card. It said The Love Doctor. Like, oh, well, what's this? Well, I teach men how to open up to the right brain to speak the internal, mentally stimulating, and emotionally fulfilling language. They're like, really? Wow, because men don't do this. And one of the women, she was about 5 months pregnant. She goes, oh, my husband gets it. He knows how to do that. I'm like, well, I really don't think so. And here's why. And she, no, he gets it. He really does. And she starts crying. Well, shit. And so the other lady's, Michael, she's pregnant. I'm like, no, I get it. She's hormonal. And as I started to walk away, one of the ladies walked out of the booth and goes, look, she wants to believe that he gets it, but he doesn't get it. And she goes, Michael, we all did it when we were younger. Your girlfriends in high school, in college, in their 20s and early 30s, they tell each other, no, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. He doesn't get it. He never gets it. And then what women do is they walk away from the relationship telling their friends and family, like, I have bad luck in relationships. I just can't meet the right guy. Turns out, all guys are like this. We're left brain. Women begin to figure this out after the second or third divorce, plus they've had 2 or 3 or 4 boyfriends between high school and college, etc. And they finally realize in their early 40s, maybe late 30s, this is just the way men are. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, if you are the one guy in every room you walk into who actually gets it, and women can see it, hear it, and feel it the moment you start to talk, the moment you start to just be in their presence. Now that's power. That's genuine power coming from your core. This is what people like, oh, I'm authentic. Every guy that's ever said that has been fake as fuck. They're coming from their forehead. I don't even like to use that word because it's been so faked and so like, oh, I'm authentic, genuine, authentic. The minute I hear guys say that, because you can hear you can literally hear it in their voice. When you're talking like this, you're logical, which means you're not connected to yourself, which means you're not being authentic or genuine. This carries over into increasing your sales, increasing social power. In fact, it's all about social power is what it is, but it's not a forceful, pushy social power. It's a comfortable, relaxing social power where people want to work with you. It's 10 times more, hell, it's 100 times more powerful than that logical, linear thing that you call power, which is not power. All my men's books are on sale. Use the phrase return to power. One word, return to power. Now, normally my coaching fee is $250 per session. That's just for regular coaching. It is not the Cracked Female Code course, although I will teach you anything you want in that course, including the internal awareness techniques. Right now, between right now today and Christmas, I may extend it to the 31st of December. I'm going to knock the price all the way down to $79 per session. You can only take it on right now. Another thing I'm going to do is give you a deal on the Cracked Female Code course, but you have to put a down payment down before December 31st, and you have to make a set an actual date by the end of January. That's it, guys. If you liked the video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and as always, you can go ahead and make a donation. In fact, I'd rather have you buy my book, Cracked Female Code, since it's on sale for Christmas right now. There is a PayPal button right there in the description box if you want to make a large donation. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.